you need to have your texture pattern open. And if you look at your layers panel, you can go ahead and hide your background layer because you're not going to need it. And select your texture pattern or pattern texture layer. So the first thing that we will need to do is we need to check the image size. And so I want to go up here to image size. And right now I'm looking here and the document size of this is 5 inches by 5 inches. I actually need to change this and I'm going to do it right here. And I'm going to type in 2.125. That automatically changes the other one if I have checked constrained proportions. If it's unchecked, then you'll have to type it into both boxes. And I'm going to keep it at 150 pixels per inch. And then I'm going to click OK. And it makes it smaller. Okay. Now, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start a new Photoshop file. And this Photoshop file is going to be period number underscore your last name underscore texture name. Whoops. Name. And the size, the width is going to be 14 inches. The height is 8.5 inches. And the resolution is 150 pixels per inch. Make sure that your color mode says RGB and your background contents are white. And then click OK. So this gives us a full paper size. Now, on here, I want to actually go ahead and choose View, and I want to show my rulers. That way you can see where a ½ inch is. Okay, and I can actually drag a guide out from there so that I can show that I need to keep this amount of space open around the entire thing. And that's for printing. Okay, we can't print beyond those blue lines. They don't actually show up when you are ready to print or ready to save as a JPEG. They just act as guidelines. So the next thing I want to do is go back here. Now, you remember how we defined a pattern when we were creating our textures? Well, we're going to do the same thing here. So I'm going to Command A to select all, and I'm going to go to my Edit menu and define pattern. I'm going to go ahead and let it be named the same pattern as my file. That way it's easy for me to find, and click OK. Now I'm going to control click on this layer, pattern texture, and I want to duplicate that layer into my new file I just created. One, last name, texture name, and I'm going to click OK. Now, if I come over here, you'll see that the file shows up and it's a small little tile up here in the corner. However, if I'd go to Edit, Fill, choose Pattern, I'll be able to select that pattern and fill it throughout. Now, for those of you who have a mother or grandmother, an aunt, a sister, whomever that has ever made quilts, now this is actually starting to look like a quilt with all the little patchworks put together. So now that you have this, it would be a good time for you to go ahead and save it so that if your computer happens to shut down or you wind up with an error, you won't get stuck with no file and have to start over. And of course I'm doing that now and it's freezing. Okay, so I got it saved and I am going to make sure that I have my character panel open now, and I am going to choose a font. Now it's important that for your font you choose something that has thick lettering. Things like black oak, Arial black maybe, Cooper standard, all of these thicker fonts should work. I'm going to go ahead and choose Cooper standard for mine. Now, instead of typing text, we're going to use the horizontal type mask tool. And all you're going to do is type your first name. Okay, only your first name. I'm going to start with the font small because then we can make it bigger. So I'm going to do a capital K, and then the rest will be lowercase. You can see that it's really small here. I know that if I make it about 200, then it's going to be big. Now, if you see it ever off the screen here, if you hold down your command key, that gives you the arrow so that you can move it. You don't want to get this arrow because then that's going to go ahead and make it select, and you don't want that. Not yet anyway. I can still make that a little bit bigger. And once you have the font like that, then it's time to adjust your vertical scale. Okay, so you see here where it is with a 210 point font. Well, we still have all this space, so we can make it bigger, taller, instead of wider. So I can try, oh, I didn't mean to hit enter. So see what I did? I'm going to have to go, oops. I'm going to have to do it again because I pressed enter and I didn't mean to. So I'm going to go back and get my horizontal type mask tool, and here I go. I'm going to hold control to move it, and I'm going to still increase that a little bit. I'm going to do 250. Don't hit enter. I'll move it down. Okay. And I can, okay. Now, besides that, you're also eventually going to be adding a photo of yourself in here. So there's a possibility that you want to increase the tracking. And what that does is it puts a little bit more space between your letters. So yours probably started off as 0, okay? Well, I know because I've played with this that if I increase it to 50, it puts a little bit more space in there, which is going to leave room for you to add photos of yourself. And once you have that, you can click the Move tool. You see your marching ants. Then you can go to Select, Inverse, and hit Delete. And you are left with your name with that quilt texture or pattern in there. I'm going to go ahead and deselect. I'm going to double click to unlock my background layer and hold Shift so I can select both of those layers. Right up here is Align, so I'm going to align vertical center and horizontal center. So now I know my name is in the exact middle of this page, and I can work on saving again. And move on to the next one.